Know how it is. Know how it is.
Welcome to another episode of the Black Briefing Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Samantha Douglas.
I'm WildStyle for sure.
And I am the Greg Merriweather.
It always sounds... He is the Greg Merriweather. It always sounds like you're saying for show. WildStyle for show.
For sure.
I know. But it sounds like you're saying for show. WildStyle for show.
WildStyle for show.
Anyway, coming back off the special episode. So we're back sooner than usual. We did get into May just a little bit. Y'all have to forgive us. It'll be all right. We do have, a semi-long docket. I feel like we're missing things too that happened.
Oh, we are. It was so much that went on.
It was. This is why y'all commenting is so important. Please tell us the things you would like us to talk about or stuff that we missed or what you want to see or hear our perspective on, or even on social media or whatever we see it. Let us know that so that we can make sure it's included in this and I don't miss stuff. But anyway, we're going to start with Lawrence. It's the freshest issue at the moment. So I got word, and it has not been, there isn't a link because it has not been reported on yet, but that Lawrence Mayor Deb Whitfield has just fired their director of DPW in Lawrence. And it's one of the reasons why it was just so egregious is because if you look at Lawrence social media and stuff, I mean, it feels like the only people who was doing anything was like DPW. Like it was public works projects was like
police
the only
was doing
thing.
Too much though.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Anything worth,
I'm fixing
you're over there. But anything worth,
Don't worry about me.
like any kind of good being done was being done, but like
So what was the circumstances like? What happened with them being fired and everything?
So I don't know all the details yet. I haven't talked to everybody yet, but what I heard so far is that there was a meeting. He was pushing for transparency and honesty.
A public meeting?
And I don't even know if it was a public meeting.
Oh, okay.
He was pushing for transparency and honesty and was fired on the spot and escorted out by police.
In politics?
Yeah, well, I mean,
He
but
was
this is the
pushing
thing.
for political transparency and honesty
And so they escorted them out.
in a place that's done nothing with the police
Yeah. Yes.
that have been on camera.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody gets to their point. I mean, I'm not going to speak for him and I don't know all the circumstances, but I think he gets to a point where you're just like, yo, that's not true.
Whatever.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing in here?
Whatever he
like,
did, I'm 99.9% sure that he wasn't on a high-speed chase with both hands off the steering wheel, pointing and firing an assault rifle while driving in Indianapolis.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Now, it's possible he could have done that too, and maybe she's like, I'm the next one that does it, and he did it, but I don't. He's not a police officer, is he?
No.
Well,
not anymore. Remember, he was with IMPD for a while and left.
Yeah, so
And he is. Are we saying who he is?
No, I've been leaving his name out intentionally to be respectful.
Yeah.
I love them dearly, and want to show them support because that has to be so difficult. I wanted to mention it because I want Lawrence to know y'all need to stand up, like for real. She cannot stay, and I think one of the things.
She?
Deb Whitfield.
Okay.
I just said that at the beginning of this.
I just like to hear it.
Shut up.
I like it. I like
But
that.
I think
say the name.
As Democrats, one of the things that we have to start looking at though is strategy wise. We have to she has to be removed or step down from the seat so that she can be replaced so she can be replaced by Democrats. It's the only way to save the seat.
So
otherwise, if we let this go to the next election, they are going to not only, well, she's not going to run. I don't think she'll run again. I don't think she's that dumb. I don't know. A different Democrat will run. And
how many
beat her.
times has that been said about Democratic mayoral candidates? They're not going to run again.
You know what?
One is
I will remove that. Okay. I will step back on that and say, even if she did, I think she'd be beaten by another Democrat. But I don't think Lawrence is going for it. I think what people aren't realizing is Lawrence. They were just on the Republican side.
They're in a fine balance.
They can teeter. Yeah, and I think after this experience, I wouldn't be shocked to see them teeter right back to a white Republican man. And if you want to stop that from happening, somehow, some way, Democrats need to be able to replace her before this term is up.
So are we saying that this was a mistake?
That electing her in?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who is?
I just remember the celebration. That's all.
Well, it was a celebration because
she was a first.
She was a first. I still don't. Let's be clear.
When the first one is bad.
Let's be clear. I'm still not. I'm never going to regret supporting a Black woman in a leadership position with the skills and talents that I have to help get her there and knocking doors. Like I knocked 100 doors in one day for her.
Oh my goodness.
I'm never going to regret that.
They're not going to let you knock on their door no more.
Well, this is the thing. We were fooled like everybody else.
You go back to them 100 doors, it's going to be a problem.
We were fooled like everybody else. I think, honestly, one of the things that we need to talk about is that what happens with campaigns and with candidates, campaign managers, people who are, doing this stuff, they sell their candidate to you.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And based on their reputation or who they are or whatever, we will buy it or not.
Sure.
And folks sold her to us and we believed it and bid. And and honestly, up until this point, she was through the campaign and all that, she was everything. She was doing the right things, saying the right things. She was coming. I'm dead serious.
I get that, but I have to say this. The Democratic Party has done something's wrong with their picker.
Yes. No.
Oh, yeah.
No,
that's true.
Yeah, something's wrong.
No, it's not just something's wrong with our picker though. We don't have. It's the pool in which we're picking from, right? It's not just the picker. It's both. Mm-hmm. It's the picker and the pool that we're picking from.
It doesn't seem as if they pick authentic people. It's almost like people have to morph into something that they want, but they fake it and then they pick them and then they promote them and then they become who they really are.
They can't maintain the fake.
It's like they don't go get the authentic worker.
That's what, because
they cause too much trouble.
They cause too much trouble.
But this is the thing. You don't even have to be authentic Democrat that causes trouble. You can just be authentic. I was just talking about this on Cameron Riddle's show. He was asking me about, well, what do they need to do? And I was like, stop trying to conform to what you think people want and just be who you are. Actually be passionate about people in the community and then be authentic.
But I mean,
be authentic. That's what we need. I think because we don't, if Trump is proving anything right now, you do not need to be a perfect person. You don't even need to be somebody that most or the regular everyday Joe person would agree with. But they like that he says, when he says something, you're like, no, I believe 100% that came from that fried ab brain. Yeah, you know what I mean? I believe that.
True.
People connect with that authenticity. And that's what we're not getting. This is not what we are though.
But I don't think that Democrats can be that. They have to recruit that. I mean, honestly, the crop we got in there are recruited for a certain skill set,
which are like-minded.
Yes,
they are very much like-minded.
That mostly is not authenticity.
Sure, it's not. They are very much like-minded.
We need new people, and this is a great plug. We happen to be doing PC recruiting and training, and you guys should come. I'll put the link in the description. But that's literally about bringing new people into the fold, new people that are passionate and ready to take their advocacy to the next level. It's perfect for you, and this is why we're doing that, because and that's what I was telling you is we realize it's not just the picker, it's the pool. It's the pool. The pool has
everybody
to change.
that's tried, not everybody, but a vast majority of people who have tried to get in there have been beat the hell up and then pushed away. A lot of people have tried to get inside that party. I've watched people try to run. They will literally plant people to oppose them.
Yeah.
They're not as powerful.
I've seen it.
I wish, the conversation we were having before this episode started. Mm-hmm. One of the things
I know that was bad.
well, but those folks of that time had real power.
Sure.
They had real power.
Sure.
Right now, this is a fake facade of power. So their threats are empty. So it's really you get beat up a bit, but it's nothing you can't make it through.
Sure.
Because they try to do that stuff to me all the time. And it's nothing I can't make it through, can't navigate. Yeah. Like you can make it past those things. Like they didn't want Autumn. And with what, like $5,000, 3 people, and just a couple months, we got within 500 votes of a 17-year incumbent. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen. We should have did it. I mean, we should have been blasted real bad, and we weren't. And so that's what I'm saying. It's not real, and that's what I want people to do: is challenge more, press more.
Yeah,
like. It's not real. It's fake. It used to be real power. They could really shut down your life. They can't really do that no more.
So what happens when like you see people like Jesse who goes against the party, and all of a sudden the party works and says, okay, well, we don't want to fool with you anymore, simply because of his authenticity?
Yeah, but nobody's gonna. They put him out of the Democrat caucus.
Sure.
But it didn't change. Jesse is still in there doing the exact same things.
He's still doing what Jesse does, but the fact of the matter is he shouldn't have to go through that. He
has enough people power. But again, though, what I'm saying is will it be challenging? Yes.
Sure.
Can you make it through it though? Yes. And he has enough people power that even if they challenge him and stuff come his next election, he has enough people power to still win.
I mean, his district loves him, and I can tell you, based on some other things that we may get into, that he's still getting things done when the other counselors are just afraid to, and will literally just make up excuses out of the thin blue air to justify why they continue to do nothing.
That's actually the next topic, WildStyle. So,
good segue.
Yeah, good segue. WildStyle and the FOIA request. What is FOIA, by the way?
Freedom of Information Act.
Yep.
And it's a different acronym at a state level. So that's just the federal, but you just say FOIA.
Right.
For all of it.
For all of it. It's just like a nickname now, just for an information request. But yeah, WildStyle sent an information request.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send a information request out to Lawrence about that police shooting that didn't happen in Lawrence. It happened again. It happened in Indianapolis, where they shot up 38th Street, Arlington Avenue, and 30th Street. Hit multiple vehicles. Yeah, multiple cars. This happened right past the Purple Line station, which is Indigo's #1 traveled line now. Along the 3 route, the 30 route, like these are places that I'm out there, on the bus stops. I also have a brother who's got a child on the way, and they live like about a mile and a half away from there. I would prefer that they not be killed by Lawrence PD.
A stray bullet because you're driving with your knees and shooting out of a windshield at another moving vehicle, all at high speeds.
So I've quietly
Makes
been
sense to me.
Yeah. I've quietly been talking informally to some of our local city council leadership, and they just wouldn't do anything. So I sent a formal letter to the leadership, and they tactfully and politely explained to me that the Indianapolis City County Council is simply a fiscal body, and they have no power at all to do anything, handle anything outside of like budgets. And now I'm not the smartest guy, and I think some of these people might have even been educators themselves, so I have to go look these things up. So when I looked it up, I went straight to the Indy.gov website for the city council. And here's what the Indy.gov website says right now about the Indianapolis City Council. Okay. The City County Council is the legislative branch of our local government. In addition to adopting budgets, levying taxes, and authorizing financial appropriations to fund city and county operations, the council is responsible for enacting, repealing, and amending local laws. The council appoints members to boards and commissions that serve the community, and all meetings are open to the public. So if the council leadership, the Democratic council leadership, Democratic Party leadership is this confused about what city council does, I don't know what to tell you. I implore everybody watching to please take a little extra time with your city councilors. Obviously, they need to be educated about what their jobs are and what their responsibilities are.
Hold on. Look, not all of them.
Not all of them, but
mine is fire. Mine was we was just in a meeting talking about a whole lot of other stuff, housing and all kind of stuff.
But the leadership,
so,
like the city county council leadership, apparently is not aware of what their website says about what their responsibilities are.
I think too, like sometimes the other ones got to be brave enough to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the leadership, because it also because the counselor of the district where it happened should be saying something too. Like, yo, why is this happening in my district? Creating my, damage for my constituents, the lack of safety. Like, you could have killed some of my constituents.
Could have killed him.
Could have killed him.
But if you look at just the council and its disregard for even the people who show up, like the president is rude to the people who show up to the meeting.
He wasn't rude to Ben Carson at that panel discussion that he moderated,
but he definitely is rude. I mean, the people go to those meetings and are totally shut down, and then they call the sheriff in to basically bully them out of the council meeting.
Well, not bully. They drugged the one guy out by his wheelchair.
Man, I watched him tell the sheriff to get a dude, two dudes in wheelchairs, like, get him out of here.
Get him. Take him to the gulag.
The dude is in the wheelchair screaming, yeah. Yeah. So when you read that WildStyle and you talk about all the stuff they're responsible for, and you watch the council president sick the police on dudes in wheelchairs, it's like, I'm not surprised that nobody even thinks about this stuff.
But I was told they were just a fiscal body, so
I cannot breathe.
Dude, I watched the sheriff put his foot on the back of the wheelchair.
Oh my God.
Raise the dude up. I said, this can't be real.
That's called fiscal responsibility.
Get him out of here. I can't. We can't make this out.
We're gonna take some fiscal responsibility up in here,
dude.
I cannot breathe, Greg.
So
I should have known you was on one today.
I'm telling
hey, they be on one.
You saw it. Well,
I might have.
I saw that. I was sitting at the crib
God.
like, wow.
I mean, and here's the thing. Like,
hold on.
Can I have a tissue?
What made it so bad was the second dude with the wheelchair. The president of the council looked, and he thought it was the first dude he kicked out, remember? And he said, didn't I just throw you out of here? And he looked, the dude was like, what, me? He said, get him out. He said, well, get him out.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh my God. Y'all, there's a disclaimer at the top of this episode.
The dude was sitting there on the screen.
This is all
I need a
Gregory Elias Merriweather.
It was real. He said, didn't I just kick you out? He said, nah. He said, forget him.
The city council has brought us to tears. Literally.
Oh my God.
Put that boy on the foot.
And let me
like,
God, Greg, he's got the car.
Let me just say, nothing is funny about what happened.
It is
it's
not.
the way Greg is describing this scene.
It's all true, y'all. This is all true.
But when we get a bad rap for like giving them a hard time about this stuff, and it's like, but y'all did all of this
They did
stuff.
all of it.
Yeah.
Including send the email and said you're a fiscal body. Like, what?
Yeah, we don't make
Listen.
no rules. Sorry.
I'll say this too. In Marion County, because we get a lot of flack about talking about Democrats and you shouldn't be doing that to Democrats. But in Marion County specifically, we get to be picky. Y'all,
Yes.
we get to be picky.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. You can name any of these folks, any of those Democrat seats on the council, it will be another Democrat.
Yeah.
If we remove that one, it will 100% be another one.
Absolutely.
So it's like we get to be picky. We get to criticize them. And it makes it even, if we do it well, it makes them want to do their job well even more, knowing that, you just being a Democrat isn't enough. We talk a lot about you being black isn't enough, but you being Democrat alone is not enough.
I agree.
If we are at every point, like I'll never forget, you say this all the time, but we're first in everything bad and last in everything good. And if that continues to be the case, we cannot keep this current leadership. They're obviously not serving us.
I agree.
And that's something we have to start considering and talking about. It's just like, okay, they're a Democrat, cool. So now when we're in Marion County, it's very likely they're going to be Democrat, right?
Yeah.
So let's get beyond that. Are they effective? Are they improving anybody's quality of life?
And we're not asking for that much. I mean, a man drove through Indianapolis without his hands on the steering wheel and pointed a assault rifle and shot it out in Indianapolis streets, and he got paid for it.
Yeah.
I just don't want that to keep happening. Can we get something that's like, hey, or are you handling your officers out there? Are you going to make sure this doesn't happen? Some type of policy?
Yeah.
Anything, an acknowledgement that this isn't supposed to happen? None of that.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get anything.
And that,
My bad,
y'all, I believe. Listen, because you threw me all off.
Yeah, you threw everything.
You threw everything off.
My bad.
But anyway, okay. Speaking of throwing everybody off, okay, 3/5 of a brain. That's our next topic. So I don't even know, y'all. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even like that this was brought up by the Democrats. So they were talking about losing all the DEI initiatives and stuff, right? They were talking about the DEI bill, and the 3/5 compromise was brought up. I don't like that it was even brought up in this context. If I'm being honest, it just doesn't. It's just weird. But Micah Beckwith decided to hang on to that and make a whole little video on Twitter explaining to us
the 3/5 compromise.
The 3/5 compromise, and how it was a quote good move.
Good move.
And he said it was ensure equity for all people or something, like at the end of the video. It was crazy.
A good move. 3/5 compromise. Let me just tell y'all this, because his history lesson was very flawed. The fact that they were discussing how much a person is worth, or what they count as, is disgusting. There's no silver lining to that. There is nothing good that comes out of that. There is no, on the bright side, they didn't want to count that. Well, it let the North keep the. What are you talking about?
And he said that it eventually, that led to the end of slavery.
No, it didn't.
That was 78 years later. The Civil War happened.
There was no connection there. No connection. Full stop. This is ridiculous and disgusting.
I liked it.
I bet you did.
I did. I mean, listen. WildStyle, wilding for real.
I know.
Do not disturb. Does that phone do that?
But really, I think I liked it because, for lack of better terms, I like my N-word served raw. And when it's all said and done, I think when people do that, it gives you the ability to maneuver a certain way once you know how they think.
You're saying you like knowing exactly where somebody
I want to know
stands.
how you feel.
Right.
And I think that, Dr. King said something. He said he had been in Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, but never experienced racism to the magnitude he did in the Midwest.
And especially Chicago.
Especially Chicago.
Yeah,
and he said, because these people will hug you, they will kiss you, they will say they love you, and then do everything to stop you from making progress. And I think that when we look at what happened here, he really gave us a gift because we see the mentality. Mm-hmm. The scary part about it is while we are distracted with the 3/5, you've got the governor doing all kind of stuff.
The governor is wilding out. Like he's treating us like 3/5
So
directly.
that's what I'm saying. So when I look, and my question was, would you rather be called it or treat it like it? You could call me anything, but how you treat me is a whole different ball game. And I think that when you look in places like Atlanta that happen to be in the real South, in Dixie, in a state that's red, and they say, y'all can't do it over here, but y'all can dang sure do it over there. I prefer that. Because at that point, I know where I can make progress. In this city or in this state, it's totally different. Because you look and it's not said, but the conditions prove that they're doing it.
I think I dislike both. I think I dislike.
I ain't bothered by what you call
I dislike it to my face and not around me. I dislike it. Like, I think, and too, with all of the millions of people we have in the state, we couldn't find one. We couldn't find one that was sane.
Well,
or maybe two, the governor and him. Like, this is, we always talk about what the picker with Democrats and the picker in like the pool and stuff like that, but it ain't much better on the Republican side. This is the best y'all got.
But this is them being them.
Yeah,
that's not my expectation. When I look at me, I have an expectation. When I look at them, I expect what I know. I know that that's what that is. So at the end of the day, they're not doing anything surprising to me. I think that in the Midwest, we have been basically rocked to the point of saying that we like hidden racism. Yeah. And at the end of the day, when you know it's blatant and like you said, I don't want to be called that. Well, I know I'm being called that based on the condition.
Yeah. No.
So when it's all said and done, you just saying it is like, man, whatever.
I'm saying I want to raise that standard is what I'm saying.
It's not going to change.
Ironically, I agree with Greg on this one.
Yay. Hit the microphone, hit the clap button.
I didn't, when I saw it, I got no emotional response other than laughing at the end of it.
Yeah, no, I laughed.
Because I was just like, well, y'all did this the whole session.
Exactly.
Y'all made it very apparent that we are 3/5 of, and the most hilarious part was after all this said, Braun's like non-response about it because he was like, they were probably high-fiving about it. It was like, hey.
But then he was like, he should probably watch what he says.
Yeah.
He was like, look, don't say the quiet part out loud.
Exactly.
Yeah, yes.
This is what the country doesn't like about Donald Trump is the fact that he tells the secrets. Mm-hmm. He tells what's hidden. And at the end of the day, how they feel about us is now just on the table for real. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy and thrilled with it because it gives us the opportunity to say, all right, now we can strategize because what we were saying, when we think about the sheets.
Keep that buried in your heart. Keep that buried in your heart, my man.
I mean, but
no, because this is, you don't get to come out and do that kind of stuff. Like, no, you don't get to.
They do it with policy. And my thing is, I'm a little bit.
I don't want either one. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying no, I don't want, like, it's the idea of, oh, well, at least he's on. No, ain't no at least he's honest nothing. No, go crawl into a hole with those views. Like, I don't
take off the sheets.
Take that. No, I like knowing where somebody stands. And if we were talking about just somebody on the street, if this was a video that just went viral because it was just somebody on the street, cool. The fact that it's somebody that actually impacts legislation, LIHTC, like all of that kind of stuff, it's like, no. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do that in this space. We couldn't stop you from getting elected. But this is insane. And I think partly
I'm happy he did it.
Me too.
Partly too.
2-1.
No.
I mean.
No, I'm not happy he did it.
I'm looking at the response. I wish for years that we could have got this type of response about the policy decisions.
Facts.
No, for facts. No, honestly, if I'm trying to stop saying that because somebody just corrected me on that because I'm always honest. Okay. But we should be responding more than this, not just to this, but especially to the policy. And that's what frustrates me because I don't even like the response to this. Yeah, we had a press conference demanding that he retracts these statements. It's just like, what? Like this is where you drill in and say, no, the fact that he said this is indicative of a destructive mindset that's going to continue to pollute all of our policy and politics for the next 3.5 years.
Good that he said it.
But we're not using it though.
No, we're not. It needed to be said that look at all of the policy decisions made at this session at the lens of of us being 3/5 of a person, and you'll understand what's went on there.
Absolutely.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Nobody, there wasn't that connection made. There wasn't like any of that. It was just, demand that he apologize.
Who's leading the charge? Let's be real. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Who's leading the charge?
It's a whole bunch of different people.
Well,
you know who's leading the charge. I ain't gonna say it because then y'all gonna say I'm going against them fellas. But it's the fact.
No, I think I have
because when it's all said and done, like I said, if I'm part of that system that's leading the charge, and I know that my belief is supposed to say, I don't care about what you say, and I expect opposition. It's like the people who are leading this charge. It's almost like they're doing it to be relevant.
Yeah, I don't need I'm so sick of symbolic gestures and all that stuff. Like apology. If I'm being totally, I don't need an apology.
I don't need an apology.
I don't need none of that. I don't want none of that. What I want,
heart.
Yes, and I want
I need them to run that session back. That's what I need to.
And for all of the Republicans in our state that are saying, oh, he doesn't speak for all of them, or that is not. Then run somebody better. Then show us who you are. Then. Because right now it's looking like y'all are
on board.
Yeah.
But I mean, they didn't make much of a stink about it either.
No.
No. They feel like that.
No, but you can I'm not going to say that. I've definitely seen some Republicans respond in a way it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like how worse can he get as a human, right? Not just Jesus Christ. He said that out loud like Braun
minister?
But yes,
yes.
But when this minister was, buying luxury vehicles and
he's a minister.
on the people's dime and doing all the other corrupt stuff he's done. What is that?
Now, but
I mean, he's in good company.
God's anointed needs nice things, I guess.
Anointed needs nice things.
Y'all know there's a disclaimer at the top of this episode. Okay, that leads us into right in the heat, or right before this heat, right? We all knew Greg Taylor had went on, or Nasty G, as we lovingly call him.
Nasty G.
Went on Micah Beckwith's podcast. And what we didn't know, though, is what he talked about on the podcast, right? Until it actually came out. This podcast came out. It came out right around this time the 3/5 stuff was going on, which, wow, terrible timing.
No different than the podcast.
Lord. And so he's on this podcast, and obviously what gets blown up is WildStyle's clip of him saying that the KKK gets a seat at the table. So Micah Beckwith is asking, who gets to decide who gets the seat at the table and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and Greg is like, well, everybody's welcome at the table. And he's like, so the KKK? Because he's expecting to get a rise out of Greg Taylor, right? And Greg Taylor said, no, they get it. And it makes Micah Beckwith shift because
it did. I will say that
he expected a black man to have probably a visceral reaction to the KKK gets a seat at the table, or some kind of semblance of intelligence. But we didn't get any of that.
And then
it was tough.
Beckwith's defense, he called the KKK known idiots before that. So, I mean, he really set it up, and Greg was like, "Oh no, the KKK is invited to the picnic too. We're all one big happy family. We can all discuss it."
I mean, aren't they already at the table?
Yes, that's the point. That is literally the point. And that's what I was telling people. I was like, yo, the table, inclusivity is for the marginalized and excluded. The KKK has never been marginalized or excluded, and that is the problem.
They're at the table.
Yes, and somebody.
The policies that we see.
They were at the table that Greg was at the podcast.
Oh my God!
They was already at the table.
Exactly, because
you gave him an extra seat.
He's literally sitting there.
He came to their table.
Yeah, he's sitting there as 3/5.
Lord,
so at the end of the day, it's like they're already at the table. And
he acted like 3/5.
Who, part of, if you listen to the whole thing, honestly, if he had went on the podcast and at least held him accountable for things he's done and said, or pressed him about things or something like that, I could have at least said, at least he went on there and did a good job. He went on there simping.
He did a bad job. In fact, I mean, it didn't meet my, so Senator Greg Taylor, Nasty G as we call him, is my senator. I'm a constituent. And so I went and looked and wanted to know what was going on with this podcast. So I watched some of it.
That's all I think. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that should have been a secret. They should have kept that podcast.
Secret.
They should have put it on OnlyFans or something. But
Jesus.
Regardless, I watched it. I was dissatisfied for the standard that I was set for my state senator, but I also was a black man. I was like,
for real,
what is going on? Like I know you're not from Indianapolis, but is that how they do up there in Marion?
It was, you know what? I was about to say it was worse than I thought it was going to be, but I'm not going to lie to you. No, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
I guess I gave them more credit, surprisingly.
I'm just like, why go? I mean, when you look at the level of opposition that they face every day, being a super minority, and all of the fights that you get into about policy and how it impacts our community, why would you not think that was a setup in the first place?
But you noticed that
I would have.
He also did not join the rest of his colleagues in condemning the 3/5 compromise.
Did he? He didn't?
I haven't seen him. For real? I haven't seen him say anything.
Oh, we're going to fact check that. We're going to fact check that. Man.
I do know last week when I was looking, he had not put out anything and or signed on to with everybody else or stood up with them
today.
Yeah, we should definitely look into that.
Oh my goodness, that is horrendous. Well,
can we go to his Facebook page? I think we could do that now.
Honestly, I'll look right now. Honestly, it would have been hard for me because they put that press conference. They scheduled that press conference the same exact time as Carson's event happened at the Julia Carson Center. So obviously I couldn't be at both. And so I went to the Carson one. It was scheduled before. It was like a ticketed thing because they had security and stuff because they had the Democratic whip there.
What was he doing?
Carson?
Yeah.
He did a town hall with the Democratic whip.
So
he brought the whip.
He's also got a lot of death threats. I think that the security is for him.
Yes, and that's why. Yeah, they've gotten a lot of threats. Especially behind, especially behind the ceasefire stuff, the Palestine stuff. So that but they scheduled it at the same time. So many of us weren't able to go to both, which also made it like unfortunate because I couldn't even go over there and see what they was talking about, what they was doing. So I have to go off of what I saw, and basically what I saw was that they were just demanding that he
apologize.
That he retracts his statements and stuff, and that Braun calls it out too. I saw that, but it was just like because they did the call it what it is.
Yeah,
and that's what it was called. The press conference was called or whatever, but. I don't know. We need better demands, y'all.
But
I agree.
I mean, again, kind of leaping back over to that, it's like these guys are quiet about the conditions. It's like it just baffles me that they did that whatever conference that they did, call it what it is. Man, like I said, first in everything bad, last in everything good, and everybody's quiet. So it's like you okay with N-word conditions, but you mad about being called it. And I'm like, the conditions are poor at best for black people, and all these dudes are living in it and okay with it, simply because it probably doesn't impact them because they steal from the poor too. But at the end of the day,
oh my goodness.
At the end of the day, it's like you have to look at why they're talking now as opposed to every day.
Disclaimer alert. But
that's great.
I was not thrilled about all of the speakers at that press conference. There were some that I think should have been left off.
Me too.
Who were the speakers?
Well, the only one I remember was the one that should have been left off. So I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
Clyde.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I think he was a speaker, but I'm just going to say it, Clay. Pastor Clay.
Oh, Clay was there too. He was one of the speakers. He was. Yeah.
I just don't feel comfortable.
I get it. I just think that at some point, it just baffles me how quiet this state and city can be with the conditions the way they are. And it's like the whole word concept just baffles me now. Just people talk about me every day, and I still get up like whatever. Because if I ain't starving, it's like starving me out is an act of war. And I think that the crazy thing is we look and we see that we're getting starved out.
We are getting,
and nobody and people ain't trying to war.
And that's literal.
That is an act of war.
Yeah. No, we definitely should be more angry about what's actually being done to us than what's being said about us. For sure. For sure.
But don't say I get it. Don't say it either. But dang, get busy.
So you've been searching. Have you been able to find that he said anything about this?
So I went to the Facebook page I could find and his campaign page, and both of them had posts from way old. So either I can't see his current posts, like because
or he
we're
just
not
simply
friends,
hasn't.
or he should have
he should have a campaign Facebook, right?
Yeah, I went to the campaign Facebook. That didn't have nothing since like 2023 or something. I didn't see it. So I'm probably his real account's probably blocked. I'm probably blocked. I don't know. Y'all know y'all. But the Call It Like It Was press conference, it had the speakers were Stephen Clay, Dr. Lasana Kasimbe, Dr. Clyde Posley, Rabbi Dr. Aaron Spiegel, and Senator Andrea Hunley. And that was Dr. Stephen Clay, by the way. I don't want to disrespect
Reverend
the
Doctor?
title.
Reverend Doctor.
I don't know. Every time I see multiple, if I see multiple titles.
Say that again. Who was it? Clay? Who else?
Man, you would wait till I click off of it. Greg.
I mean, it's okay.
But it was Stephen Clay, Lasana Kasimbe. She's associate professor at IU.
No, that's
Clyde Posley was the moderator. Rabbi Dr. Aaron Spiegel, and Senator Andrea Hunley.
Okay. Call it what it is.
I like Andrea.
I like most of the speakers. It was one that
call it what it is. I call it like that. I'm like, thank you. I'm gonna call him and say thank you for telling us this.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, I would say that like I would think like as a state senator, and you just went on this guy's podcast, and then he basically says that you possibly being 3/5 of a person back in the day is a good thing. Yeah, you ought to be able to find that statement on the web. I'm starting to feel like. You would think reporters would have asked him about it. Like, hey, you were just on this dude's podcast. Maybe they have.
Yeah, I'm sure. If I were him, I probably wouldn't speak on it. If I were Greg Taylor, I wouldn't say anything. But else. You said you wouldn't have gone on the podcast. I wouldn't have got on the podcast at all because I would have felt like it was a setup. Yeah, for all the stuff that they face every day. Y'all were two very different Gregs, apparently. Yeah, it's this Greg and that Greg.
Yeah, no, and then I just Googled it. I don't see a response.
Yeah, because there is
wise choice.
I don't think there's a response.
Be quiet.
No, I would have did it. Like, I mean, it's never too late to do the right thing. It isn't. Do the right thing, even if it seems late. Like, no, he should. No, you know what? I would love to see him say. Man, I shouldn't have went on that podcast. That would be like, at the very least.
He could say that.
Would have been great. But also, I wonder, why don't our state level elected officials have any kind of handlers that are like, because I don't, as an individual, you're human, right? You're not going to always make good decisions. Now, Greg Taylor has allegedly made several bad decisions, but you would think there's people around you that's like, you shouldn't go on that podcast. I think they do have handlers. And that he just don't listen? Probably not. I mean, there's no way that anybody advised him like, oh no, you should probably go ahead and do that podcast with Beckwith. Like, I know that didn't happen. That's what I'm wondering is like, and two, I don't necessarily feel that way about everybody, but you can't do that. No, yeah, you can't. Yeah, sometimes you have to pick your battles, and we weren't all born with the same tools. Yeah, that's a fact. Mm-hmm. Okay, Braun. we're gonna move on. Braun is signing bills. Obviously, the ones that made it out of the State House, he's been signing them. It's been making news because There's a lot of things. So in the budget, I saw that this was in the budget. They slipped in him trying to get control of the IU trustees.
Yeah, that was wild.
Right? Wasn't that in the budget? I'm not tripping. Right?
It
Okay,
was.
that's
It
what
was
I
in
thought.
the budget.
It was slipped in there. We have the link in the description. And so the ACLU is suing Braun over that right now.
Yep.
And let me just put this out there. Obviously, this is not sponsored by the ACLU or nothing, but y'all, you should just give a small amount monthly to the ACLU because every time something wild happens like this, they are the body that will
And there's something
sue them.
I haven't checked my phone, but I know something wild is happening right now.
Yeah.
They're gonna be doing a lot of suing.
Yeah, and they're the body who does it. And right now, from the federal level all the way down to our state and city, the only thing that protects us from bad legislation and stuff is legal action, is the courts. We have to have attorneys that are willing to take up these fights. And so, man, they support them. Give to them.
American
Help
Civil
them.
Liberties Union.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
So you all know that American Civil
American
Liberties.
Civil Liberties.
like when something goes on and like the governor or any of them just break the laws or the constitutions, if somebody doesn't sue, nothing, they just continue to do it and whatever they said goes. Like that's the end of it unless somebody sues.
Exactly.
And the ACLU is the organization that like goes and watches that and like, nope, we're gonna file a suit.
And you can't just how can you just attack IU?
I was
You know, like,
surprised
what?
I was surprised that like they just left Purdue. Like, I don't know, y'all good.
Yeah, it's
we
like
just want to
You
take
know
over
why
IU.
it's not Purdue. You know why it ain't Purdue. It's a powerful dude at Purdue.
Well, he ain't there no more.
ain't
But
there
he's
no
there.
more.
Yeah, he's there in spirit.
He's there.
He's there in spirit. Yeah.
And you don't want none of that smoke. That's
Yeah.
a whole different beast.
And tell the people who you're talking about.
Mitch.
my
man
Mitch.
Real talk.
Some of y'all may be too young for that, but my man Mitch.
Mitch Daniels is a beast.
Yeah. Okay. Another thing that came up was they banned marijuana ads in Indiana. I actually heard of some Democrats that were on board with this.
Yeah.
They want people to shop locally.
Yeah.
Buy local.
Buy local. What better way to ensure that?
But I mean, yeah, I think that's interesting because everything around us is legal.
Every state around us. So
Yeah.
Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Hold on strong.
No, you
And
got to
for
get meth
what-
there.
You know what's interesting too? Was it you who made this point about our shortfall and then talking about how much money
It was a whole bunch of people that
marijuana?
said. Yeah, a whole
Marijuana's
bunch of people
bringing
said
in?
that.
But it I don't think it brings in what people think it brings in.
It brings in a significant amount of money.
But I think you lose. I think it probably breaks even at some point because
Between what?
because what happens legally, because all of a sudden you're going to have to figure out a way because all those states have to figure out what they figured out with alcohol. And you have to, all the legalities that come into play that change.
That's interesting. I'll go look that
Then on top of that, like in Chicago, for those of you who know and who have been to a dispensary, not me. And you
Never
go
been.
and you go in there and all of a sudden like you get the receipt and it shows you how much you've purchased, how much you can purchase for the rest of the month, right? So at that point, it's like you've got that system, but what happens is that system creates an underground system because the person who's getting the riches is the grower, simply because those strains are in a store now. But if you're limited on what you can purchase, then it gets underground. And all of a sudden, you create what you thought you were getting rid of. You create a stronger one, simply because it ain't like liquor.
But
But it creates an underground.
But
for
they
real.
still bootleg liquor too.
They do.
I don't smoke. I've been in a few dispensaries with friends and stuff. But even in those cities, like you still had the weed man.
You still got a weed dude. Period. And not only that, you're talking about tax. You're talking about how much it costs. And then all of a sudden you look and say, man, why am I paying $300 for this? And then they put a like whatever what is it called? The weed level. The
THC.
Yeah. So
THC.
all that. So you can only have a certain level. It can only go so high to get so high. And so all of a sudden, all those things come into play, and then it creates the underground where people are selling higher grades for cheaper.
I mean, but they're already doing that with the government and the state not getting any cut of that, though. Is what I'm saying. So
we would get a lot of money,
I think
but
I think there's still
but you know,
good amount of profit.
I mean, I think, you know, that solution isn't to go stop the underground market. It would have been like to get that budget shortfall handled that Trump caused.
That's what I was more so thinking. It's just like, this seems like a terrible time to be fighting marijuana in our state when we could use the income. That sounds crazy to me, but I guess, you know, whatever. The next one is so I put these under here because they're impacted by him, but Ivy Tech Anderson has ended free summer classes for high schoolers. Y'all, he just showed me Senator.
Quiet.
I'm sorry. Ivy Tech ends free summer classes for high schoolers. It's actually Ivy Tech and Anderson, I think, right?
I thought it was all.
Or is it all of them?
That's what I thought. It was
okay. Okay, maybe it's all of them. I have the link there. You guys can look. But it's because of the budget cuts.
Yep.
It's because of the cuts of funding.
But we all know that Ivy Tech wanted to do that too. Let's just be honest.
They definitely chose where to cut. But I mean, still, if money wasn't getting cut, arguably they'd still be doing it. So there's that.
Maybe.
Next one.
Maybe.
Next one, some bucks are gone. I wanted to talk about this just a smidge because I feel like some of the reporting kind of put you in the mind of more so of like the summer meals program and stuff. And this is actually the program. I'm not defending it at all, but this is the program actually through SNAP. So we were getting an extra $120 in the summer per kid.
For EBT.
Yeah, for EBT, for SNAP.
Yeah, because them kids will, when they home all summer from school, they will eat you out of the house and home. I know I did my parents, and oh man, they was mad.
I got 4 of them things, and they was crazy. Greg is lying, in case you guys don't know. But
my dad was military, so at the end of the day, everything was in ration. So, so you didn't open cabinets. He'd be like, "This is what you can get," and leave it at that. You don't want no parts of this. It was like, bet.
My kids eat us out of the house and home. They be eating. These boys be eating.
Yeah, my father would be like, "You're not about to send us to the poorhouse."
Yeah, no.
This is all we got.
And people don't realize just how much, like, we can easily spend $2,000 on food.
Easily.
A month. $2,000. Like, y'all.
Teenagers, boy, they can eat.
Oh my God. It is significant. It is significant. So, yeah, it's sick. I think they said like 700,000 kids.
Yeah, it was about last year was like 700,000.
700,000 kids, families of these kids got this additional $120 per kid. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's gone. That was not in his budget. And so, and this is the budget. Remember that we said those 2 Democrats signed. Okay, just FYI.
Yeah.
Or voted for. I'm sorry, not signed. Voted for. Okay. What's the matter? Go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking about just all the amenities that come from with poverty per se, and it's just I just wish there was a fight for true equity, because it's like when these things get taken away, what is it saying? And it's almost like we are. I said this on the live that we're like. Our community is like, you know, when a baby is getting breast milk, it's like that makes sense. But when you get teeth, it doesn't. Right. And it's like we are basically on the breast with teeth. It's like we should not be this dependent on this system.
No.
And it's to a degree where we start complaining about it, but we should be fighting about the problem. The problem is equity.
Yeah.
It's economics. It's like an economic war. It's like economic warfare is happening towards us. And
we're economic apartheid.
Yeah, and we don't think about that. We just think about all the programs and say, oh, man, they're taking this away and they're taking that. Okay, well, how do we not be on that anyway?
Yeah.
And we're too quiet about that, in my opinion.
And that's, you know, one of the challenges is this, and I thought about this. I have a great example for this too. So me and Whitley were talking one time, and we were talking about the gun violence situation and stuff, and how the NRA advocates for gun legislation and you know, all that kind of stuff, right? And we was like, man, you know, they should also, if they're going to put guns in our city, they should also be funding, you know, safe storage programs or how to use them safely, or, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, part of you, obviously, like, the real solution would be stop. But if you're going to do this, do it in a way, you better be doing this other countermeasure too, right? And I think that's how people think about these programs. It's like the systems are creating this, the 98% and
Correct.
the, you know what I mean, of us that aren't in the, you know, whatever. And the system is creating that. And you're like, I mean, the real fix would be fix the system, right?
Fix the system.
But if we can't fix the system, then we need these programs that help supplement so that people can still be fed in the process, because people still need to eat.
Yeah.
People still need to. So I think that's the challenge with what you're talking about. It's like there's so many of us that are in a position that we can't think big enough or long term enough to overturn such a corrupt system.
But that's what happens, though. Even that's just the system of racism is economic, first of all. Second, everything that's being created for the most part is to keep that system.
Yeah.
People get mad at me, and I get a bad rap for it, and I don't care, but it's the truth. When I talk about activists or advocates, they don't realize that they're advocating for the system. They don't realize that everything you do keeps people where they are. Every non-for-profit that has something to do with the community should be designed to close. It should be, if I started out with 1,000 backpacks, I need to get to a point where I don't give any, because I'm creating something that says, okay, how do you get your own? But now we call this heroism in a sense, because you say you're helping the community. Are you really helping the community, or are you keeping the community where it is? And I think people are scared to think like that, because you get caught in that trap of thinking you're actually doing work, but actually you're helping sustain what is there as opposed to fighting against it.
Your critiques about charity are not far off, because I've noticed that in the homeless space that there are many advocates that are fighting to end homelessness, but there are a lot of, especially the white evangelical churches that voted for Trump, support Trump, love his policies currently, and they get out there and they will go serve Negroes all day long. Because they don't really want the conditions to stop, and they think that somehow that they're fulfilling their commands to Christ by serving, but not changing those conditions for those people.
Poverty Incorporated.
And that, man,
I think such a business.
It is. It's such a business. I think too, it has to do with the perspective in which they're coming to this work too. Because if you're coming into this work to be a savior, that's fulfilling.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
And it is for a lot of them.
And
honestly.
Unfortunately, a lot of folks don't come to this work to actually solve a problem. They come to it to be a savior. And that fills that hole for them. That fills that void for them. And because what I think is interesting, especially lately, and even like around housing, like I had a conversation recently with somebody who's in housing, and he was talking about housing as a human right. And what's crazy is in the Black community, especially, we talk about housing in a way that builds wealth a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, we want people to own homes. We want Black people to own homes. We want them to start building wealth. And one of the conversations we were having is okay, but first step is they need to be in. Yeah. You know, like they need to be in somewhere. Like they need stability. They just need house, because the conversation was, or do we? I know, it's terrible. The conversation was, do we need 100,000 affordable rentals?
Right.
Or do we need more, affordable buying opportunities? Sure. Or, and ideally both, right?
Sure.
We need both, because we need affordable rentals that people can be in. And if they desire to build wealth in that way, that they can then transition from there to, other opportunities. But it really shifted my thought, because I was one of those people that was super focused on home ownership opportunities, but that's a bit of privilege.
It's
jumping there.
It's a lot. I mean, when you look at the statistics of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 and the ending redlining, it has not worked. And a lot of Democrats and Republicans too, they all get into the whole, well, let's do another home buying program for minorities. I'm not saying that we shouldn't own houses, but what I'm saying is statistically, not my opinion, statistically, it's failed every time.
Exactly.
Like we are not, there are a lot of programs now, and I'm not to say that there shouldn't be any programs, but if we're going to go tackle housing, like we've got to get people in rental properties that are affordable and clean and safe.
Yes.
With good landlords, and then we can get everything else handled, or community ownership,
right?
Of these properties. It doesn't have to, like, the city of Indianapolis has empowered so many slumlords around here by giving them grants and loans and giving them property. They could have done that for a community-run organization and the people own it as a co-op, or a land trust.
I just want more of these programs to deal with the mentality. Yes. I think we need more mind-changing things as opposed, because what's happening now is if you need a coat, you can get a coat. If you need a backpack, you can get a backpack even though you don't have books. If you want to celebrate Easter, we'll have the Easter egg hunt. If you want toys, we have a toy drive. If you want Thanksgiving, we give you the food. Everything keeps you where you are. Everything that's designed is not changing the minds of people. And we look and say, dang. And then when something gets stripped, and then we looking like, dang, we out in the cold. You've not established anything. And I think that's what they're doing to our people, is creating this mindset to where anything that you need to keep you where you are, that's what we're going to promote, as opposed to this economic freedom that we need so badly.
Yeah. No, I'm with it. I think it's just, I think a lot of us too know that it's going to be long, hard work.
Yeah.
Pause. But it's like, but it is. And I think a lot of people don't want to even fathom that. Like, it probably won't happen in my lifetime. No. It probably won't happen. We're just going to have to keep chipping away at this thing until we get to something that,
Agreed. But it's work. It's hard work.
And it's got to start.
It's got to start.
Agreed.
That's my point. It's like, yes, but it's always going to take a long time.
Yeah,
so we have to start. And so I hope we're doing that in our community. That's something that we've been advocating more for, and like community ownership situations, stuff like that. We're really working on that on the Far East Side. And I really encourage everybody on each side of town to start working on that stuff. Quickly, so we talked about, we get to be picky in Marion County. There's a lot of Democrats and stuff. I am almost always for a challenge. I love them. I think they engage more people and stuff like that. But currently, Carson has a challenger.
George Hornado.
And I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It's a bad challenge. I didn't think I would say that, but it's a bad challenge.
Bad meaning what?
It's not authentic. I can tell you that.
It's not
from
authentic.
my experience.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not authentic.
It's not Run DMC bad. Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good.
No, it's not Michael Jackson bad.
No.
Okay.
It's bad.
It's bad. Okay.
It's bad.
So I when George was hinting that he was going to run over like a 2-month span, at one point, I think it was like the day before or 2 days before he announced, he put up some posts that all but said he was announcing. And I commented on the post, asking him about, okay, what's your platform? And also, what is your position on the U.S. funding foreign countries for military operations that don't meet international standards for human rights and civilian safety?
Right. Dang, and his response was,
"Dang, wild stuff."
Well, I'm just saying.
Don't send me no text like that. I'll be like, damn.
So,
but that's your job when you get in that seat.
And I would be one of his constituents. Well, he deleted the whole status.
Oh my God.
So, I'm not making this up. So it was like the next day or a day or two later, he announces and he sends me up via LinkedIn and Instagram his whole campaign thing and the website and all that.
WildStyle.
And so I was like,
still no answer to your question.
Well, so I was like, well, okay, you messaged me, so I get to message you back, right?
Right.
So I said, I like the general platform. I'm interested in what you'd address. We're reforming HUD to tackle the housing crisis and build long-term, sustainable, holistic communities. Mm-hmm. And then I also asked about his position on the U.S. funding to foreign countries for military operations. Sure. Mm-hmm. It is still blank. I have not heard back.
Of course not.
George, if you're watching this, or if any of y'all know George, please reach out. You didn't even have to answer there. We could have had a conversation about it. But I mean, as a potential constituent, I would hope you want to talk to my,
I think it's good.
I knew you would. Yeah. I knew you would. I'm a fan of challenges. I think this is not a good one because I'm a fan of challenges when people are actually authentic and real about why they're challenging and wanting to run. Sure. Because this is the thing. I think you should approach every seat like you're gonna win.
Sure.
Not just doing it for namesake or whatever. Unless, even if you have other goals, I think you should approach it like you're gonna win. So I think it should be something you're serious about.
And I need to know how you
believe his intentions.
He's still. I need to know how he's going to be better than
Carson.
And let me say, I have no issue.
Should not be hard.
Greg,
I have no issue with Carson being challenged. I'm not a Democratic protector here, but I'm like, I don't want to go from somebody that is halfway accountable to somebody that can't even respond to me.
That's
about
a fact.
And even it wasn't just the one question. I asked about HUD. We have some serious housing problems here, George.
Yes.
So if you had something to offer, I would have liked to have heard that.
Yeah. And that's part of the challenge. The other part of the challenge is when we're talking about not having a bench, not having all of that. I feel like a lot of people don't understand or know how much Carson helps young Black folks in this space, including ones that are not popular or party loved or stuff like that. Well, we don't have anybody else doing that though, and that's what I'm saying. We don't have anybody else that's doing that. That's it. Carson is not somebody I would have challenged. Carson is not somebody I would challenge. This is a waste. And if I'm being totally honest, I need to stop saying that. But with George specifically too, with the amount of money and the connections that he's trying to leverage to do this, he could have unseated one of these Republicans in the state house and we would have all been better off for it. We need some balance there. But instead, you're wasting all of this stuff on Carson. He's loved. He supports us. It's just not. It's not going to go anywhere. This is a bad challenge.
And he actually speaks back to you.
He actually speaks. Yes, he's accessible. He has supported every single thing that I've done.
I mean,
but that's what you like. But that's what you like.
No, that's not the only thing that I like.
Because most people think he's quite ineffective.
No. And see, this is what's interesting is
I think he gets to live off the name.
No. He's not Julia Carson, and it's unfair to compare him to her.
I'm not comparing him. I think that's what he gets to live off of. I think that's the draw. I don't think it's him. I think the people that even back him, if they were honest enough to say it publicly, they would say he's not done a darn thing.
I don't think so.
And I know the people who backed him, and they're like, nah. And the only reason they say they're loyal is because of Julia Carson.
I don't think so. Pete, this is the thing. It would have been easy for him to just stay quiet on the ceasefire stuff. It would have been easy for him, like everybody else did. There was most of Congress was just quiet. They just didn't say nothing. They didn't fight it. They didn't do anything. He actually fought it. And that's why let's be real. That's probably most of the reason why he's being challenged right now. It's because he came up. He came up on a different kind.
But he's been challenged many times.
I mean challenged in this kind of way.
When he gets challenged, most of the time, you already know the people that they're putting up are not going to be him. It's like, first of all, you have to look at his.
George ain't going to beat him.
No, George's not going to beat him.
George ain't got a shot.
When you look at
not the way he's behaving already.
But you know that's a hard one. That's almost impossible. Really, you'd have to come with somebody that's really, really strong.
I would.
Well, really strong, but bonus, really authentic in a way that
Agreed.
in a way that Carson hasn't been. That's the other thing
Agreed.
too. Is like he's yet to do. You said that I like that he supports. It's not just that. I have yet to see him do something I didn't ask him to do too, though. Like if I come and say, hey, this is this way, it needs to do this. He hasn't not responded, and that's to WildStyle's point. It's just like being accountable.
I called his office. They was like, "What do you want?"
I think so. Well, you're the Greg Merriweather.
They were like, "Oh, it's the Greg Merriweather."
Oh no, they was like, "What do you want?" I was like, "I voted for him. What do you think? What I want?"
This is. I think there's a lot of our elected officials that there are some that need to be better activated.
Yes.
And there are some that are willing and some that are unwilling. And he's willing. And that's what I like. I don't need everything to be perfect. But like WildStyle said, he's responsive, he's supportive, he's willing, he's like he's nowhere near on a list of yes, let's challenge him.
I would agree, but I always pay attention if somebody's challenging them to see like it are they offering better. George in this case has offered nothing. But I would like to see Andre Carson use his social connections, his privilege to do more for not his duties as a congressman, because I know they're limited, but his influence to do more for Black Indianapolis.
100%.
I would like to see that.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's what I'm on board with. Like, I would love to see that too. Like, and I've actually said this, bring in the Hip Hop and Politics panel here, bring in folks like Killer Mike, and we've actually talked about this, actually.
This
me
ain't
and
that
Carson.
town.
But bring Killer Mike. No, our Black community needs to be activated. I'm saying
they're not going to get activated by them.
He's the one to do it.
If we can look right now at a national who is now becoming an international gem, is Nuri Muhammad, in this town does not do. He's never on anything hardly ever in this town, but now he's everywhere. And I talk about it with Thomas X all the time. He's not this town. This town doesn't like people that do the work that they see Killer Mike do. And all of a sudden, you bring a Killer Mike in. That's why I never liked the Stewart speaker series, because I was like, you bring all these people in to say messages about what. Do you take notes? When you leave? Is there something? Is there a call to action? No, we're celebritized.
But you're talking about this.
What is Killer Mike gonna do in Indianapolis?
I'm talking about Samantha. No.
But if you brought him, what would he do?
I say there's follow up. That's the difference. That's the difference. Like right now, recruiting people to run for PC and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This is good work. This is actually great work. Recruiting new people to get in this space, giving them the education, because we're going to be running these little campaigns. I'm building a bench. This is what this is, to get us new leadership that hasn't been tainted by what's been here for so long. Like that's part, and we need to do that. We need that. What we need is some sparks in a row in the Black community that can help us get it started. Is bringing Killer Mike here a silver bullet to solve everything? No. Is it going to automatically? No, but it's going to start sparks. Jared would come purely because it's Killer Mike. Would you not? See?
But here's my thing.
And Jared is one of those. He don't really do politics like that. And that's what we need to do. We need to activate our men.
We are still a city that is 30% Black who votes for white men and then asks for a Black agenda. That's us.
Greg, but because we're not here getting the education and the knowledge that we need. That's what I'm saying. We need something that brings folks to the table. And then once they're at the table.
This town would kill Malcolm X.
I don't think we're all like that. Will we get everybody? I think you'll find Black folks like that all around the world.
You do, because they have he's in a place where Black thought is welcomed. So if you look at Atlanta,
we have to start chipping away at that, though. That's what I'm saying. We have to start chipping away at that.
I'm a Black nationalist, and people are like, I don't want to hear that crap, Greg. No, I would not.
Exactly. See, that's not the kind of people I want.
But the reason I would not come is because I would only be coming for his celebrity. It's like I could call Dr. Umar. I can call a lot of these people simply because we think alike. But when I look at this city, I realize that this city is not black in thought. This city is blue.
How do we get there though, Greg? That's what I'm saying. So
it's black.
So what do you think the solution is? We just leave them that way?
I think the solution is take the people who are in your city that think like that and then put them somewhere so that you could not spark this city from the outside. It's not that city. This is not that type of city. This city needs, that's why Mike Epps left. That's why Babyface left. That's why Vivica left.
Mike so probably here right now.
But what I mean by that is this city does not support its own.
No,
we are so thrilled.
That's a culture that has to be changed.
So bringing somebody is just the celebrity. We've done it. We keep doing it. And we bring in people.
No.
We brought in some. Dick Gregory has been in this town.
We just talked about old
Muhammad
Black
has
Expo.
been in this town and nothing happened.
We just
Tupac
talked about
Shakur
old Expo and how we have not been bringing leaders that would actually attract folks.
Sister Soldier has been in this town and nothing happened. So I could keep going. And when you look at when they were here,
because the right organizers weren't the ones. Because it wasn't organizers doing it. That's the problem. That's problem number one. Is that there's not somebody who has an infrastructure built to build on that momentum. We bring somebody in, say a few words, okay, bye, and that's it.
They told them people to shut up. They wanted them to get them out of here. Am I lying? When they brought any of those people here, this town did not welcome those people. They was like, man, are you crazy?
You can't speak for, but this is what I'm saying. I can't speak for the whole town. But I can say I have plenty of projects that just need spark. That people just need to know about. And so bringing that attention to those kind of programs, these kind of plans, it would work. And we would be able to keep that fire burning.
We have to get honest. And what I mean by that is even throughout the King, when King was assassinated and Kennedy announced it from the park, right? This town celebrates Kennedy, right? I remember the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination. And who was on the front of the paper? Kennedy. We have a park called Kennedy King Park. And you got King reaching out to Kennedy. Although Kennedy used COINTELPRO against King. And we are that backwards in this
he
town.
wiretaps on that.
Come on, that's a Fourth Amendment violation. We know this.
No,
This is
how
true.
do you think Indianapolis became this way?
I think
the individuals, right?
I'm gonna say it for you, the pastors. I've documented it.
Okay,
it's the pastors that did
individuals, individuals created this. So why can't individuals recreate a new culture in Indianapolis?
Because it's more of them than us.
No, right now, because there's not enough of us at the table. It's not that there's actually more. It's that enough of us aren't actually at the table. And that's the problem. We got to bring them to the table. And to y'all's point that y'all just said, we have to start somewhere. And we have to start at some time. And what we need really is effective grassroots leaders to lead the charge, because they're the ones that know how to not only bring people at the table, but give them the tools before they let them go to go do things. Like that's the point. We do things as if it's a performance. We go like it's a Beyonce concert. We go, we did the thing, we go back home, back to normal. That's not what this is supposed to be used for. We're supposed to come, be enlightened, and you use that spark and that drive of people getting there to connect them to other things that we keep building on.
I think one of the first things you'd have to do is figure out how to be authentically Black and not concerned with offending white people. Everything we have that was developed to go against racism is now
I think step one is bringing people to the table, period.
We can't even listen.
They're not even here.
Hold on.
They're not even here.
You had the Black Expo, right? It turned into summer celebration simply because you didn't want to offend people. We are those people in this town. All of a sudden, everything that had Black in
they
it,
are
urban
those
in
people.
It, they said, well, we don't want to be offensive by standing on Blackness.
Now, hold on.
We are that.
That was Tanya Bell.
But we still that.
That's them. No.
She ain't going nowhere.
Don't say we still that. They're still that. Okay. And this is the thing, too. They're also getting old. We have to take this.
Now, you know, they had an incubator. You know, the exchange was the incubator.
We have to take this
to create the same type of mentality. They have uplifted and created a group that's just like the old group. and they put them in school to be like them, and we already see them in action. I can name them.
I refuse
Disclaimer
to
alert.
Right, right. Definitely.
Can we get them to like the
disclaimer.
flash on the screen?
Right, yeah, we needed to flash. We
truth.
needed to flash because I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. I think there are things strategically happening in order and intentionally that we can start to see a shift.
I think both of y'all make great points. I don't necessarily agree with some of the leaders that either one are naming as the people to uplift, but I do think that this is going to be a grassroots thing, and it's going to take a lot of leadership. It's got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Maybe Killer Mike. I'm not super enthused about Killer Mike myself, but maybe some people are. But it's got to start somewhere.
We need Black people that wouldn't otherwise be involved to be inclined to be involved. And that's all that's the only reason why I brought him up. I'm just saying it would bring out especially and in particular our Black men, our young Black men. And not necessarily like the little ones, right? This will bring out our adult Black men, like our 30-somethings, our 40-somethings.
Which is
our
the
older
time people are ready to go in.
And I think they would only come because of his celebrity.
That's fine if they come for his celebrity. Come for his celebrity, but I'm going to give you something more.
But at the end of the day, I have to say this. People are afraid to be authentic. People are afraid. When you make the decision as a Black man to start standing on Blackness, you're going to lose more than you can ever gain. One of the things that Nuri Muhammad told me, he was like, they're going to take everything you got. The minute you start standing up, they're going to try to take everything you've got. He could come with that message now. He's a rich rapper. He could come with that message. The facts of the matter is, when you make the decision to stand up as a Black man in this country, you're going to lose more than you can ever gain from it. And I think that that's the fear. It don't matter who comes and gives the message. If they're not ready to take on what comes with it, it doesn't matter who speaks on it. You have to make a commitment in your head that at the end of the day, I say this, they took a little bitty Martin Luther King, who was a nonviolent dude who carried a Bible, and they put a bullet in him. So when it's all said and done, I don't care who gives that message. If you are not committed to them trying to destroy you for standing on it, know this, it doesn't matter who gives the message.
You are completely missing the fact that I keep telling you over and over again that I am not saying that he himself,
no, I'm not. I get
that
what you're
him
saying.
Delivering this message is going to inspire folks. That's not what I'm talking about.
He's going to bring people out.
He is going to bring people out.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Sometimes it is that simple.
And sometimes it is that simple.
Cool.
Bring people out.
I believe he'll bring people out.
If we get a few hundred, if we get a few hundred, 1,000 folks come out, and I get a sliver of that to actually take interest in what I'm talking about and doing,
30,
that is a win.
30 would change the city.
30. That's a fact. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
It would turn this place upside down.
It would turn it upside down. Turn it upside down. I think people, this city can be shifted in culture, in mindset, in how we're doing this stuff. And especially you put 10 in the right position. Mm-hmm. You put 10 in the right position and it shifts things. 20
to cause hell, and the 10 to
the last 10 to really do it in. I believe it. I believe it. You don't got to believe it.
By the time you have the meeting, you've already been infiltrated.
No.
Well,
I don't care about that.
And that's why you got to cast a wide net.
You won't get everything. Yeah.
Try to get some new blood, new people.
Yeah, you won't get everything. You won't get everything. But we can start right now. We're not even chipping away at anything. We're just losing everything. Like, we're not even holding the line. So that's whatever. Next topic. Speaking of, Lord, not even holding the line. ILEA, which is IPS's new, like, what is it? Should we call it a board? But it's their
it's temporary,
Indianapolis Local Education Alliance.
Sure. I hate that you call it ILEA because it sounds like a nice name, like maybe a grandma.
I thought of the law enforcement thing. Aren't they called ILEA?
It is.
That's what I thought. See, that's the first thing that I thought of.
And this is probably how this is going to be handled.
So basically, the Indy Star put out an article saying that the mayor asked for it to be exempt from the open door law.
And Bob Banning told you went to the press and was like, well, yeah, it was your mayor. He did this.
Man, so
That's so bad.
And I mean, excluding from the open door law would mean that their meetings don't have to be public, by the way.
Which means, from somebody that has gone to those excluded meetings, that means that you're subject to being lied on, lied to, saying that you agreed to stuff, saying that you said stuff, saying that you flipped the table over, said that we didn't tell him that, when nobody said that, blah, 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 all sorts of stuff.
Lord.
Yeah, it's private, so there's no accountability.
No accountability. Yeah. And people can get together and decide, well, I saw him, he flipped the table over and jumped on it.
And it's scary and harmful.
Twerking.
It's scary and harmful that our mayor said that, because historically he's been a supporter of charters. And I'm not getting into the traditional public school versus charter fight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that for somebody who has been clearly a bit biased, it's rough for him to then turn around and say he doesn't want these meetings to be public. That's tough.
Agreed.
It's tough. It's suspect.
I mean, one of the hallmarks of democracy would be public being involved in decisions.
Transparency. Yeah.
Transparency is
democracy.
When we're talking about, the buildings and the facilities and the manner that your children are being forcibly educated for 12 years.
And he gets appointments too, right?
Yes.
To this board, yeah.
Yeah, like, it's not like, oh, well, this is some elective. No, your kids they have to go through all this unless you want to go do it yourself for 12 years. And I have to pay taxes for it, and we all pay taxes for it, whether you got kids or not. And this isn't going to be open to the public.
Yeah.
It's a bit disturbing.
Real quick, we have a few little rundown things. Voices is Emmy nominated.
Congratulations.
I wanted to highlight
That's
that.
dope.
Congratulations. They have a program. So Voices is a local youth program. And they have a show called Real Talk that's on Wish TV. And one of their episodes, I think it's the gun violence episode, is Emmy nominated.
Awesome.
So congrats to them.
That's dope.
Mirror Indy just keeps getting awards and nominations.
Mirror Indy is the truth.
Man, the truth.
I've
been turning everybody to them. They keep trying to, we should do this or dig into this. Call Mirror Indy.
Mm-hmm.
Their investigative journalism.
They are doing the thing.
Top tier.
I agree.
And then finally, this was Greg's thing. Unfortunately, it landed on our rundown. But Trump has said he's unleashing America's law enforcement. It's interesting because we thought they were already unleashed.
Yeah. I felt that as long as I remember, I didn't think they were tethered. I tell you that.
We thought they were already unleashed, but apparently he's strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. I want to highlight the word citizens. They did not say residents, but citizens.
Yeah.
And that will that will be
defined
driving
by him.
Driving hands free down Indianapolis streets,
Jesus Christ.
firing an assault rifle,
and then getting pro bono legal support.
Yeah, legal defense of law enforcement. The Attorney General shall take on all appropriate action to create a mechanism to provide legal resources and empowering state and local law enforcement, Attorney General, and other appropriate heads of the executive departments and agencies shall take on all appropriate action to maximize the use of federal resources to provide they are going to provide new best practices.
Yep.
My God. So, chokehold's already been back, though, since the state started taking over our use of force policy, by the way.
So pretty much anything goes.
Anything goes.
Yeah. And then this is in lieu of the officers getting, not totally off, but state level. Was it state level?
Yeah, Memphis.
Yeah. Those officers.
The black officers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got off. Yeah.
Yeah. There was one in Cincinnati. It didn't get off.
Man.
I don't know. Did that father run over?
It wasn't the same one.
It wasn't the same one.
Officer.
It was he just retaliated. I can't imagine the mental headspace that you're in that space.
I saw the video of them shooting his son, and I'm not defending anything, but I can understand how somebody would have blacked out because it was clear his son was running. There was you can't see any gun in his hand, and if he had a gun in his hand, there was no way he was able to point it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be in my right mind.
No, I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't be in my right mind. So man. But yeah, the White House is still doing crazy things. Trump is still doing crazy things. He's posting pictures of himself. I'm sure y'all
as the
seen,
Pope.
As the Pope, as a what's-a-majig?
A Sith. It was a Sith. He was not a
Star
Jedi.
Wars.
He was a Sith.
He had a red.
There's
saber.
a difference.
There's a difference.
Lord,
he was a dark side
He's on
force
the dark
user.
side. Yes.
They don't even know Star Wars.
Or maybe they do.
Maybe they do.
Or maybe they do.
I'm with you, WildStyle.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Or maybe they do. Well,
He had a red lightsaber. He was definitely a Sith. Maybe they know what that.
I think they know.
This has been another episode. Sorry, I'm not trying to promote Apple, but that's the laptop I happen to have. But this has been another episode of Behind Closed Door. I hope they do call.
Please.
Listen, all money's green under the hill. Is that what he said in life? Green is the only color that matters under the hill. That's what he said. But anyway, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Black Briefing Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe so that we can continue to build this platform, y'all. The more independent we can stay with this, the more that it can continue to be, unfiltered and transparent and all the things, right?
Absolutely.
Please make sure that you comment and let us know what you want us to talk about because it helps us come up with content. And also, I'm not going to lie to you. Until people ask me, I don't always know what I know or have an opinion on until it's posed. So definitely ask us questions. It helps. Obviously, I'm going to put the page where you can connect to all of us individually on social media is probably the best way. And again, y'all, please just stay informed, fight. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you fight for. And go out here into our community and continue to fight for what's right. Appreciate y'all.
Take care.
Peace.
Know how it is.